Welcome all to this new show of Cytology. We are covering some other topics that we need that are relevant, and also we want to keep on speaking the same ideology that we continue to harp on, that how Sanatan Dharma can bring peace to the United States and how it is a normal way for a democracy to function. A lot of you are appreciating our videos, and I'm sure that the Sathology discussion series increases your faith in the strength of Sanatan Dharma in the US. So, yesterday you really liked the article that I published, and on Ram Setu, we raised questions because I cannot emphasize on the scientific processes because we are living in a scientific community. I also belong to the same community. But here, today, we have this special guest. We are going to discuss with him. He has come on many times on our show, and we are going to ask him few questions that how the Sanatan Dharma based organization has been able to give all help to the society, material, spiritual, ideological, and as well as a leadership politically. So without delay, I bring on to you Sri Ratan Shardaji, a very eminent spokesperson and also writer on behalf of RSS.
Namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
Namaskar Aditya. Good to
Welcome
see you
again.
back.
Good to. It's
Good to be
always
in your new studio.
thank you. So it's always a pleasure to have you. And so today we want to see. So what we have seen is materially, spiritually, ideologically, and even medically, uh, the RSS has been able to do a fabulous job. People have been criticizing it, but no one can match the social service that you have done. So, can you please elaborate on it, how we have responded so far today in this pandemic, as well as we're preparing for the future as well?
Yeah, sure. Actually, RSS, by its very nature, is dedicated to anything that is required to be done for the society. The way they are trained, that they have to be the swayamsevaks or the volunteers have always to be ready to serve the motherland in whatever way they can. So this training, which comes over long years, about giving your time, giving your resources, giving out, working out of your own pockets, not looking at any NGO kind of funds. So this is ingrained in the RSS people, and this record of service is very old, since 1947 partition times, when lakhs of Hindus and Sikhs were saved from the marauding invaders and attackers in the new Pakistan, to saving women and sending the Muslim women back to Pakistan who were somehow caught in this crossfire. So from there on, it has been a continuous journey. But in 1990, 1989, a specific division was created called Seva. So this Seva was formally inducted as a part of the RSS program and was linked to RSS Shaka programs. So and then on, more records were maintained, more details were done. Some famous works were in Andhra Pradesh cyclone, where an entire, not just saving, but also creating an entire township that was destroyed completely, a new township. Then there was Nagapattinam tsunami, where they worked risking their own lives. Some famous cases. Then you have Gujarat, of course, first the cyclone, then the plague, then the earthquake of 2001. So all these are now well-known cases, but RSS never went out of its way to propagate or publicize its work, because from beginning the idea was that whatever good is done for your own people. So where is the need to publicize? But slowly, as the thinking changed in '94, the media cell was introduced in RSS. Before that, for 70 years, there was no media cell. So this change also brought in a way where we decided to propagate our ideas or propagate our work and good work of everybody, not just RSS, to society at large. So there is positivity. There is no element of propaganda. So this training, this time also, not this time, it was very difficult. It is not a normal rescue operation. It is not the flood and you go and serve people. You have seen even Hindu people in America now serving the local population during Corona disaster. So it was a case where you are also at risk, just like the medical profession, just like the sanitation people and the police. You are also at risk when you go outside and do work. So, but in spite of that, about 300,000 RSS volunteers are on the road. They are preparing fresh foods. They are preparing ration kits. They are supplying medical equipment, PPE, mask. Every possible thing is being done. Yesterday there was photograph of even going and giving water. People are returning home with in special trains. So it has been a very inclusive kind of work and very interactive work. Now, beauty is that it was not started. There was no direction from RSS. This is very important. That on 23rd is a lockdown, and 24th people are on the field already. Somebody creating a food kitchen, somebody offering his restaurant, somebody just starting to send out grains to people, and that is how it started. After about a week or 10 days, slowly a structure came up because there is already a structure, but the structure need to be tuned to this very new kind of disaster. And it is not that it is very easy. The people in the family are very afraid. They tell them, please don't go out, see what is happening outside. To fight that, that emotion and to keep them safe till they come out. And these are on under 60 because clear instructions that because it is dangerous for the senior citizens, nobody above 60 is allowed to go on the field. So this is the kind of how slowly this work built up. Then it went to locality, from locality to state. So wherever need is to supply it to somebody else, that is also done. And luckily, admins everywhere have been cooperative. They don't really bother when you go out with your relief work to some other area locality. Police ask but let you go. So it has been this typical attitude of Hindu society because we started, but we are cooperating with the Rotary Club, we are cooperating with Jain societies, we are cooperating with ISKCON. I was there when they were making ration kits in our area. Then they took one of the kitchens of RSS, served there for nearly 15 days. So every religious, every sampradaya, every Hindu element in the society, including temples, they have come down. It is because of our strong network, RSS network, that they decided to use us, and we just provided the backbone for the services that so many Sanatani people, so many different, sampradayas of mathams of this society came forward to work. So this is typically Indian. Nowhere else in the world, because of the changing dynamics where families have died out, NGOs are just doing commercial elements, you find society coming out and helping people in the best possible. That is the highlight of this work done in.
So one
I
of the
don't know. In Mumbai itself, we have crossed 5 million food packets. Just to give one figure, there are too many figures. I will not, call out figures. If you go to net, you can find the figures. They are in millions. But just Mumbai itself, we have crossed 5 million food packets and about 50,000 ration kits, dry ration.
yeah.
And some million of PPE kits. Our people are going to hospitals supplying PPE, supplying masks. So everywhere we are there. Everywhere.
Yes. No, I have seen the figures and they're astounding. Americans can't imagine that because Americans, even if they distribute 500 food packets, it's considered very big in USA.
Scale is enormous. Aditya, scale is enormous, unbelievable. I have gone out and met a few young people there. I made small videos, put it on Facebook and also Twitter, if you might have seen. Very young people themselves, in an area where they are out in a very big, risky way. And they come, they said, see, the key concern for them is that we must be very safe. So because of us, kitchen should not stop. Because even if you catch one person who has got corona, the entire kitchen stops. So that fear of kitchen is such that they have registers, they've got masks, they've got temperature, infrared thermometer, every kind of facility that when you go, immediately all this starts. The main fear is that because of us, work should not stop. So it is enormous. And their what you call, that spirit is seen to be believed, whether it's ISKCON, whether it's RSS, whosoever.
No, it's so amazing. I mean, the world is learning from India, and I can tell you that there have been case studies being made by students in Harvard and other universities right now, University of Berkeley also. Even though they're very leftist, even though they're very leftist.
One more thing I'll make clear: we are all seva oriented. Seva and missionary work is very different. Even today, missionaries are going out with their effort to convert people, even in this disaster. But none of the RSS or affiliated organizations or ISKCON, etc., are offering any kind of conversion. Not at all. Everybody has the facility. They supply. I talked to a person living in a very economically backward Charles. He said we have got Muslims, Hindus. We are supplying to everybody. So this unnecessary element of harvesting the souls even in troubled times doesn't exist in India. At least not on non-Abrahamic side.
I think that's a lesson for all Americans that missionary activities are still considered rajasic, like full of passion, and they're bound for a result, like they're done for a result. But if you consider RSS work, which will be like karma, which is nishkam, without any expectation of any profit,
True.
it becomes pure service. And there is one point that you mentioned that there were even though the RSS has done a lot of service, which is without expecting anything back, but there have been other groups, like you mentioned just now, and there have been other groups who have made it a point to spread the disease via communal.
Yeah.
That's an agenda. So, how have you been able to avoid them, because they were there to spread the disease sometimes?
See, if a few people decide that we will somehow spoil the atmosphere, will somehow create scenario where people will be more troubled. Hello, you're
Yeah,
on?
yeah, yes. Repeat the last one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. What I was saying that there are always troublesome people who just don't believe in a social responsibility. And unfortunately, the Tablighi Jamaat, whom to name we are called Islamophobes, had foreign missionaries or their foreign preachers also in India without the proper visa document, which was only supposed to be for their camp. And they went out preaching. They came on tourist visa. So there was no need for preachers in India. India is a land of 200 million Muslims. So still they came. They hid their identity. They were in the mosque. When they were asked to leave, they left and they just escaped. So if you saw the first biggest spike came because of these people. Now slowly they have been caught, and imagine we had to catch them. The police had to actually search for them. Where they went, they were stoned. So this abominable, behavior, believing that they are above everything, and some people said, Allah will not allow us to be infected. Some silly argument they had, and just blind faith. Their chief is still hiding, is not come out. But somehow police was able to catch them, trace them. It's a tribute in such a huge land with so many people. They were able to trace most of them. But in the meanwhile, the game was up. I mean, areas which are totally under control, there is hardly any virus. We had big problems. But 30% spike at one time because of this particular kind of people. But slowly, as they realize that they are also as infected as, in fact, more infected than other people, they are slowly realizing. But the behavior is actually not really ideal, I would say. I don't want to spoil the atmosphere now, what kind of behavior they are done. It is abominable. If you can describe it to your people in years, don't believe that somebody can behave in such a way. So what we have done is that we have given service. We are not getting into areas where there are, typically red areas where police is very strict, where they don't allow anybody inside. You don't go in that area because we are not supposed to go. At every other we are serving.
One of the things that you mentioned, one of the tweets caught my attention. So Americans are also learning here that the maximum spread of coronavirus is in certain communities, even in the US.
Oh,
So
I didn't know.
so it's in the US. In LA, it is in a certain community, and which you all know which community. Now, you mentioned a tweet recently that somebody is like in Mumbai, coming back to Mumbai, that they want to demographically alter the states. So US also we have the same problem. Certain areas have been demographically altered by the past administration,
Hmm.
and those areas the rule of law is getting affected in terms of nepotism towards certain communities, even in the US. You have states like Michigan, you have states like Minneapolis, and we, as a academic oriented channel, we don't want to take sides in anything, but we are also worried about the spread of ideological issues in the US. So, so you mentioned that in Mumbai that is happening. So what is that exactly?
See, problem is, problem is that politically correct way of looking at things, which is slowly actually losing steam away in USA, that you must speak politically correct language. I think the time is over now. You have to name the problem. You have to name the disease. If the disease is that you will not allow anybody else who doesn't believe in your faith, so that person must be subdued with your own kind of laws, and brought society must be brought to its knees because they have got population power. Now, this particular kind of disease has to be responded. You cannot hide behind some phobia or the other phobia. Wonderful words have been created, but we know that even if you quote certain books, the books, you'll be told you're an Islamophobe.
Correct.
Today, somebody from US quoted that what is the treatment of homosexuals in Islam, and somebody says she's abusive. She's creating hate. Now, if there is something which you clearly believe, it is clearly written, and you keep on proclaiming that. In the fact, there is a video, I think, from US or Canada the man of peaceful nature says that it is our law and we will kill these homosexuals and LGBT. Then how can you say it's spreading hate? You are just stating what they state. But unfortunately, we are being so scared of being politically incorrect that we refuse to name the problem.
No, absolutely right. Even in campuses, we see that the free speech is getting gagged everywhere in all the campuses. So people of especially, so what is happening is the Hindu seats for the Hindu students councils and Hindu seats where the Hindu students can congregate, that is being affected in a big way. And I have proofs of that, that how the anything related to Hindu becomes a threat to anyone, even if it's a peaceful ISKCON club. ISKCON has been existing way before any of these guys came.
I
ISKCON
think
is
the reason for this is very simple. Reason is that they are afraid that this is a thought, the Sanatana thought or the Hindu thought, which is so inclusive, so open-ended, such a wonderfully plural, that if people look at it, they will realize what is wrong with other Abrahamic religions and what is wrong with the exclusive nature of Islam. If I may name, since I want everybody to name, what is the problem? If their very thought that they're exclusive, they're the best, everybody else is a kafir and deserves to be punished or deserves to be included in the faith or treated as a second class citizen as per their own book. If that is the case, then the reason of trying to evade Hinduism or Buddhism is simply because they fear that such a plural and republican way of life will attract more people, and they feel threatened because everybody who is out to create an exclusivist society and fascist kind of society will be afraid of democratic values.
absolutely is very true. One of the things that we noticed in the US, and I do not know whether in India, I see that in the US, more like I can tell you from our own services, the Sathology clubs we do, we have added more than 8 to 10,000 students in 2 months, and uh, and I'm really thankful to all of them who's always watching this video that you have come and joined us, and we want to imbibe RSS principles in many ways. The seva aspect is the most attractive part of RSS that we do, and you have been able to do that phenomenally well. But the reason people are coming to us, because they find answers here in Bhagavad Gita. They find peace. They find more contentment. And so we, even though we are not in any ways a religious society, we are more historical society, bringing back the histories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and proving them scientifically that they do exist. And people are just getting attracted to that because there is something more to think about. I'll like give you one example, that there is a description in Mahabharata of Arjun's travels to the space, to the heaven, and Mithili comes down. And I can tell you that that story itself has created a huge movement. It's like a people call it people who have never experienced heaven. They've heard about heaven, but they never saw how it looks like.
Hmm.
In that description, it's already given. So how it looks like. So this has created a huge attraction. So there are small parts of our scriptures. You never know which attracts who and where. But when they come to us, we want to see how we can make them in a practical way. So knowledge is good enough, but now we need to see what we can do on the ground, what is visible there. So one of the questions which people have is that what you have already explained in last interviews. So how is that Seva organization works so that people can use that in their day-to-day work and life?
Yeah, see, I mean, there is no, actually, there is no rule how it works. It is just, anybody inspired by RSS viewpoint or anybody inspired by dedication to the society, they decide to do something for the society. It begins such a small way. Most of the projects that you see, which come from the heart, they have begun in a very small way. They were not some planned, big corporate style CSR or corporate social responsibility. Some Oxfam which starts a structure, creates an office. No, it's not that way. One or two people decide to do something slowly. They keep on accruing more and more people, and they come to a level where there were thousands of people involved, and they connect to the society. They don't look at government support. They don't look at funding. They first look at the work. I'll give a very simple example of a pracharak of RSS who worked in Jhabua, a tribal belt in Madhya Pradesh or the central India. And he saw the terrible condition of tribals there. He decided to give his life to that mission, and he came out of RSS pracharak, although he's still an RSS member. He wanted to do full time that job, and he took up that job as a mentor to tribal areas. It is called Shiva Ganga project, which is basically utilizing the concept of Shiva, which is very popular, who is very popular god in tribal society, and to build an entire seva around that time. Now they had dried up, they have got water tanks there, water tables are rising, they have got afforestation done. Now people from IIT and TISS and various social service organizations come there for training, and they love work there. They get trained and they're spreading the word. So one single man in about 10 years time could create a magical world there, and people go to study it. I just one point I would like to also clarify about Islam. The Islam, when it reached India and from India downwards, it did not remain the kind of vehement Arabic Islam which has infected the Western world. It was subdued by the Indic thoughts, by the Hindu thoughts. Some plurality came in. Some call it Sufi, though all not Sufis are really truly speaking, plural. But they had a certain twang of spirituality. They had a love for music, and they had a certain softness to it, which is how Islam got subdued in India and further Southeast Asia. If you go, whether it's Indonesia or Malaysia has become a bit militant, but Indonesia, Malaysia, and even India. After 75, when the Arab money came to various parts of the world, that is when this so-called Wahhabism, Salafism actually created this kind of very, very, obtuse and very, very aggressive and intolerant strain that is infecting the whole world.
No, you're true.
Coming back to Seva, as already explained, that is how Indian model of Seva is not, and again, Indian notion of Seva is not conversion, not harvesting the soul, not trying to have an exchange, that I'll give you something, you give me your soul. Nothing like that. So you'll be surprised in Nagapattinam, they had actually given rice with dollar notes inside that rice. My friend who runs his own NGO, he gave me an example. So that is not the way to serve, because that is a trade then.
Correct.
Now somebody gives a rickshaw of 10,000 rupees worth and says, okay, you become Christian. That is typical what in India is called rice bag convert. But those poor people can't have, they are given that kind of help. They will go for it. But even in disaster, so when you do this, that's what we call sattvic. The true spirit dies in seva. Seva has to be not expecting anything in return. Seva has to be doing because it's your duty to the society. What we call, samaj rin. You are debt to the society. That is the feeling that actually changes the entire concept when you take risk of your life. When I was in Gujarat during earthquake, I heard from people who never had, climbed anything. They went to 3 floors when the entire building was destroyed. And then from there, they tied up saris and they got men and women down the ropes which was made of saris, which they have never done in life. So that spirit only works when you know that this is my debt to the society. That dedication and surrender to the nation is the key to this kind of seva.
You are definitely right. And this we see in the US also, that the meaning of charity is very different in American context than in Indian context. In USA, charity is a business, not a selfless service. Now, coming back to another aspect and last
I'll give
point
you, you
for the
said talk of charity. I'll just give one example. In Seva International or Seva International India also, their overheads are just 2-3%. And if you look at the charity organizations in US or Oxfam or even in India, those typical professional NGOs, they have overheads of nearly 60-70%.
correct.
So you know where the money goes.
Yeah, the Red Cross, the overheads are. I mean, I can't even describe. I may have a lawsuit on that if I say like that. So now coming back to last point, and I know you have another session with the interview lined up. Now, coming to the last point, in USA, people's bellies are full, but their hearts are empty. In India, people's hearts are full, but bellies are empty. And so the charity in the US or Seva in the US has something else needed than India. So in US, more enlightenment and education is needed than the food because food is very cheap here. So, and in India, the different thing. There is the first, the basic necessities are missing right now. In maybe in future, India will be more richer than the US, and then the needs will also change. But the need for ideology, need for the spirituality is there common in both the countries, whether it's India or here. And just to let you know, we opened a Scientology club in Brazil also now, in Rio de
Oh,
Janeiro.
good, good, good.
So we have a new club functioning there, and they are watching live today. They don't understand English, but they understand Portuguese. So somebody is translating locally there. So, uh, uh, so what do you want to comment on that?
See, I would say that India is no more as poor as people are made out to be. Millions of people have come out of poverty. The number of people in percentage terms have gone down tremendously. But numbers are big because India's population is big. And spirituality is not the only thing India has. India at one time had spirituality in overall concept of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So dharma was your duty to life, your duty to society, to yourself, to the states, everybody's own dharma. You as a professor, I as a businessman, somebody as a wife, everybody has his or her own dharma. A government, they have their own duty to the society, ethical way of doing everything. From there on to fulfill every part of life, whether it's your desires, fulfillment, whether it's study, whether it's your own earning money in a dharmic way, not in a by cheating people. So this fourfold, what is called four purusharthas. So we had wonderful economy, as you know. Now the study is famous, Agnes medicine study, where people realize that India was the wealthiest country at one time, the highest GDP in the world, and not only that, science, technology, mathematics, everywhere they were one because it was part of an overall social and family life. It was not just spirit. It was not just earning money. Everything was treated as an integral whole. So when US comes to this understanding that earning or the material desire is not the only fulfillment, you need to have that spirit where you can actually enjoy your life in a true sense. That artha, dharma, kama, moksha, this fourfold enjoyment of life is something that Americans need to learn. That without spirit, only material things don't mean anything. If you have listened to Osho, in one of his lectures, said that if you look at the entire, religious movement that happened in the world, all the avatars, especially in India, came from very rich families. Rama was a king, Krishna was a king, Mahavir was a king, Siddhartha was a king, Bodhisattva, Buddha. So these people who saw the life with complete wealth and fulfillment, then they said, "What next? Where do I go?" Then that hunger for the spiritual thirst brought them to a new evolution, brought them to the spiritual marg, and new religions were born. So this particular thing, he said that Western society today is the same state where they know that they've got everything, but there is something empty. When you have destroyed your family lives and destroyed your mutual relations, you suddenly find yourself empty. So this meaning of that is why when they turn spiritual, they're totally spiritual because they actually seen everything. Osho says that if you are hungry, if you don't have enough money to fill your stomach, you cannot say dunya mein sab bekar hai and everything is waste. There is no use of wealth. People of wealth, they will tell you why it is a waste because they understand. So West is now really ready to move on the spiritual path because they actually know that wealth is not everything and they have enjoyed but finally found emptiness. So that is why beyond society, when it takes up something, for example, ISKCON movement, they go full throttle into that. So now that your society is ready to go that direction, especially post COVID, when they realize that all the material joy, the way they killed the nature, the way they spoiled everything in the name of enjoying life, will take them nowhere. Suddenly they find they are caged and animals are open. So this will open new eyes, and this is the time for them to understand the spiritual direction that India gives through various, thoughts that are, plural thoughts that we have, and they can choose and they can move on their path.
Nice message. So I think America is mostly ready. So as for the Christian missionary activities, they only focus on God and church, and that model has not succeeded in the US. So the Indian model of a balance of dharma, artha, kam, and moksha together, that is more relevant because that creates a
See,
balance.
you
Otherwise,
also find Yeah, you also find that when you talk of a God, you want to have a blind faith, then it doesn't work out because science must prove. Then funny part is that as science makes progress, it comes more and more close to Hindu philosophy. As you know, Fritjof Capra said very clearly in his book, The Tao of Physics, that actually more they discover, more they come closer to the Hindu thought. That's why CERN Lab has a Nataraj on its gate. So this idea of a scientific way of looking at life, that is where you miss when you say blind faith in God and not anything else. That is why there is an emptiness. That is why churches are getting empty in Western world because they have become educated. People want answers. So you
even
have
more,
to,
even more,
yeah,
not just churches, because
yeah,
25%
right,
of
right,
all Muslims are ex-Muslims in the US.
yeah. Because it doesn't work. You have to prove. You see, when I say yatha pinde tatha brahmande, what is smallest atom in body same as what you see in the world. This entire field of universalism, universal, integration of a human being with the universe is something beyond comprehension. So once you start realizing the depth of the philosophy, then you really, get really charged.
And one thing I must add here before we end the talk here: the Hindus in America, American Hindus, they are very spiritual in their heart, but they pretend to be very materialistic also in the West, just to show. But they're not so. So I debunk that theory also. Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Dadaji. It's always a pleasure. We love
Same
your
here.
laughter, we love your humor, everything here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you.